Okay. Good morning. We're live in Chantilly. Am I in Chantilly? Herndon, Chantilly. Okay. I'm not in Alexandria this morning. That's for sure. So I'm Judy with Artistic Artifacts, and Artistic Artifacts is a sponsor of the show that's Sacred Threads. And I guess it's just a show that just means so much to me, and I'm so honored to be part of this show as a sponsor and as well as an artist. So they kindly hung my quilt at the front, which I near fell on the floor. And I've also taped a Quilt Alliance information about this quilt. It's all Japanese textiles that started with a friend who had passed away due to cancer. And so I picked up her pieces and created this. But they also, during the weekend, Lyric has been teaching classes. Lyric Kennard, this is one of her pieces as well. Great surface design. And then another sponsor is eQuilter, and this is Luana's piece. And we're going to just kind of try to give you some of the highlights of the show. We can't show you everything. We can't talk about the stories, because and the stories are such an important part of Sacred Threads that it's just such a part of it. I've walked the show just a little bit. I have not read all the stories, so as I said, we're not going to focus on those, even though they're such an important part of what this show is about. But I'm impressed with what has been accepted and what is here. As a fiber mixed media girl, I am just thrilled to see how many people have used mixed media and paints and pictures and buttons and three-dimensional, and just really brought that out and maybe use some of those very special things that you'll see, some linens and some old things, and maybe the most favorite piece of fabric you've ever had. And it's just thrilling for me to see the experimentation and the how it's been so successful, and the impact it makes on this show is that the three dimension and the mixed media. So that's kind of what we're going to do, is walk through and point out a couple, and we're going to take a minute to speak with Lisa Ellis and Barb. And I just, these two have been the force behind this show for an incredibly number of years, and I'm just so proud of the job that you both do. Thank you. What you do for the community. It's so important. So Lisa, tell us.
Yeah, let me just tell you a little bit about Sacred Threads. It was founded in 1999 by Vicki Pignatelli. She had a vision to have a show that's a safe venue for people that want to share these really personal stories. So we have quilts in different themes: joy, inspiration, spirituality, open to all faith traditions, healing, grief, and peace and brotherhood. And we do have to jury this exhibition only because we get more entries than we have space for. But it is not a judged show. There are no ribbons. There are no quilt judges walking around looking at the technique or the precision. It is all about just the story behind why each quilt was made. As you walk around with Judy, you'll see there are labels next to the quilt. That's the story. And it is just the story. It's not how it was made, the technique or process. This show is all about people sharing their most intimate aspects of the life journey that they're on at that moment. It's such a privilege to share the quilts. I feel as we pull them out, when they come in and we read these stories again, it's a privilege that people will share this story with visitors. I mean, some of the stories are really heart-wrenching. And the fact that somebody would put themselves out there, be vulnerable to the visitors that are walking through, is really amazing. One of the reasons why I think the show also is super successful is because we have a creative genius, Barb Hollinger, who does this labyrinth layout. So many quilt shows, it's just, you can do the quilt march and you just walk up and down. In our show, you are going to get lost. You are going to wonder if you've been down and seen that particular group of quilts. And we do that on purpose because it causes you to slow down and think about, okay, have I seen that? And if you end up doubling back, then you'll discover something new. So this is Barb's baby in terms of how we do the layout. And I don't know if you want to say a few words about that, but
can I interrupt one
Yeah.
minute? Someone's asking to turn it to landscape view. Because we're doing a Facebook Live, we are not able to do a landscape view.
okay.
So I apologize for that. I will try to get the full scope of the quilts, but it's a quirk of being able to do a
Sounds good.
live video.
Yeah.
Those quirks, I guess we're good at those quirks. So when we took this over from Vicki, they hosted the show in a lunchroom at a school. And their space was limited, and they line things up like you're used to seeing in a quilt show, where everything is in rows and with little galleys that you go into. And I just kind of wanted it to be something different than that. The show is set apart in so many ways already that to me it made sense to have it be more like a meditative walk, where you turn the corner and you see another quilt and you focus on it, and you're not even looking at the pieces around it, because what's in front of you is all that's kind of in your line of vision. So that's how things are laid out. It is a little bit different this year in that in the past we've had special exhibits that we set aside a certain amount of space for. We opened things up a little bit more and changed it so that instead of being more of a labyrinth, it's more of these clusters of quilts that kind of talk to each other. So the challenge for me when our jurors go through and look at every single piece, they read every single statement and let me know which ones they think are the best ones that we really need to include. It's a hard decision because we got over 500 entries this year, and we were only able to hang about 230.
Wow.
So my job is to take the pictures of the quilts that are submitted and lay them out in this maze so that they talk to their neighbors, that it's not a jarring, jump from one color to a next, that the images talk to each other and they nest together so that the whole experience is magical.
And it is magical.
It is magical.
And you do all of a sudden turn around and go, well, did I go there? Well, let's go this way.
back.
And then you certainly find something that you missed, and then it brings you back, and it works fabulously. It really does.
You might be able to hear a little bit of music in the background. That's another thing we do that's different. We play a really nice little soundtrack, and it also allows people to realize they're in a sacred space. And so conversations get hushed, and it just gives people a little bit more space to be able to walk around and enjoy. And also, just we know as visual artists, having other stimulation actually helps you focus.
Yes.
And so having the music in the background allows you to focus your eyes on the pieces. I'm holding up our catalog. If you can't come to Sacred Threads, then we do have this, and we will have a link. Right now, we're only selling them at the show, but as soon as the show closes, we'll have a link on our website, on our store page, where if you missed the show, or even if you were here and you want a record of it, it's a beautiful catalog. It has all of the images plus the stories.
Yeah.
So,
And the show is open today until...
it's open today until 5, and then tomorrow on Sunday it's open from 1 to 4.
And someone asked if all 500 quilts are in the book.
Nope, just the jury, just the 230 that were juried in.
Okay. And so we're just getting a couple questions about volume, so we just need to make sure we're speaking up. I think
Okay.
people are hearing, but it's fading in and out, and that
Okay.
might be the camera person.
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on, and we're doing fine.
No,
We're
I
doing-
meant, or is this
Yes,
on?
it's on.
Okay, sorry.
Yes. It's just, I think,
We're so used to being quiet in this space that I think that's probably what, your intuitive nature is to say, I'm going to be a little bit quieter. Yeah.
The music makes me slow down, too.
Yeah.
Because when I'm at a quilt show, I'm zoom, thinking I'm seeing everything, but really not seeing it. I'm just walking past it. And that, for me, the music is important to calm down and say, all right, just breathe and look. you don't have to be anywhere, just enjoy it. And I will be hanging out today, trying to be helpful. So I won't be at the store. So I have 3 people at the store that'll take care of you when you go today. But if you want to come out to Sacred Threads, I will be hanging out here. And as I said, trying to be helpful.
Kyle, yes, the blue light is on, and the show is actually at the Florist United Methodist Church in Herndon.
Oh, good.
And I think the music is interfering a little bit, so if you want to turn it down a little bit. Okay.
Okay. All right.
you.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Judy's going to show us a few of the quilts.
Oh, yes, and the choices are so hard. But as I said, I was really excited about the mixed media and the dimension, the threads, the digital printing. You can see, and then look at this edge here. I mean, it just comes off the wall at you. You just want to hug her. And then there's lots of, as I said, found objects, and there's, ribbon trims and beautiful hand stitching, lots and lots of hand stitching that is just amazing. And this process, I think, and I've kind of tried to think about ways of doing this myself, is working with an old tattered quilt and bringing life back into it, and with textiles and words and pieces. So this is, vintage textiles are very close to my heart. So when I see artists creating with them, I really absolutely love it. So there's a bit here. This piece is absolutely amazing. And there's lots of use of ink, lots of use of thread, and it's so dimensional. It's totally amazing. And then I want you to notice the reflection in the mountains and the trees. Just absolutely gorgeous.
Nancy's actually watching.
Nancy's
so yeah, this is Nancy Hirschberger's quilt.
Yes, and she is a creative mind, and just has exploded with her creativity, and her voice is just so amazing. This piece I love. I always take pictures of arches and things, but then if you get close, you can see you now have architecture, but you have the people who inhabited this space before. I thought that was very cool. And lots of printing, lots of silkscreen printing, discharge. I don't know exactly all of it, but they manipulated the fabric that it just creates those details in there. There's lots and lots to see. It's just so hard to choose. She's beautiful. Just I'm very fascinated with what everybody's doing with portraits, because I have never delved into that. But I just think that it's quite amazing how they worked with the color, the stitching. Thread is an embellishment. Use it to enhance the quilt and incite them. It's absolutely wonderful. We're going this way? Yep. So I just, the idea of the portrait and all the hand stitching to tell the story and to bring the dimension of the quilt out. Yes, this screen is Sophie, another creative mind, and again, she specializes in absolutely beautiful hand stitching, and has showed us some progress. If you're part of the Artistic Artifacts has a group. It's a private group. It's called Artistic Artifacts Creative Minds. And so Sophie's been showing us the progress of this. And please ask to join that group. We would really love to. I've met many people who are support Artistic Artifacts, and we love to see what you're making with our products. We want to know what you're creatively doing.
I love that one is, she actually used a screen. So it's a whole different way of displaying your quilts. Yeah.
Yes. I think that's a wonderful idea. Lots of buttons. It's beautiful. The ladder, reaching. this one is by Lyric, and which I think is absolutely wonderful. Again, the portrait, the faces, it's so awesome how that she's created that. And I keep saying, if they just let women rule the world, we'd be in a much better place. Another vintage quilt. It's got some hand stitching, some pieces, wonderful fabrics. And then this piece really stopped me in my tracks. There's a mixture of machine stitching and hand stitching, but hopefully you can see this. Chris is trying to show you the dimension that was created by stitching is really fantastic. And I've been speaking to the artist, and my family has a name that's in common with her, and you'll have to read the story, but Gula, it was associated with this woman, and that happens to be my last name. This piece here, again, thread, more thread. You have some little here, some pieces here.
Oh, that's painter's thread.
Yeah, isn't it? Look at that. Oh, I didn't see that before. The other thing that's wonderful is look at how they use the embroidery patterns of the stars. That is embroidery pattern, and then there's free motion in there, and there's thread, and here's a little story down here too. Don't miss that. That's absolutely fabulous. So she said, very moving, very moving. I mean, it's just collaging, pictures, lots of pictures. This one, lots of photos, words, and thread. Look at, the dimension of the quilts. When you're piecing, when you're thread stitching around things, it's going to make them pop. And if you're doing the stippling and things, it's going to push it back. It's very wonderful. Printing. There looks to me some whole cloth pieces, and they are...
I love the texture in this one.
Because it's raw edge, right? Yeah. And look at the words that they've just put on there and the raw edge. Yes, absolutely great. And of course, we're very keyed into Cafe, and this is with some Cafe fabrics, but it's a tree of life. I love tree of life portrait. And again, she's used lots of buttons. She used some stitching. You can just see the movement with the stitching. I'm so happy everybody found their button drawer. That's so awesome. And then this one stops you in your tracks. It's just absolutely beautiful. And again, a different way of doing a portrait. It's just wonderful colors. The blue background is stippled, and again, just absolutely great. Okay, so now I'm lost. Oh, this one I wanted to show you too. This one looks to me to be needle felted or stitched, and then it's put it together in pieces. You can see the squares, and it radiates out from the circle. But talk about texture and doing different things with different texture. There is some stitching in here, but I think that there looks to be some kind of needle felting. Which way are we going? This way. These prints.
You mean Wens?
Wens, yeah, I just love her work. It's just so amazing. And what she did was that I think is really awesome for people to think about. You know, we do as quilters cut fabric apart and sew it back together, but sometimes we don't think about sewing it back together this way, which is by pieces, and I think it's some canvas, I'm guessing, printed, but look at how she put that. She let everybody see the stitches of bringing it back together. Lots of, COVID was a really big hit, and it was for everybody. We were all trying to figure out how to get through it. So there is a little bit of COVID work in here.
Did you?
Yeah.
I just read this. And Naya and I were looking at it yesterday. Those are all mask.
Oh, look at that. It is. That's awesome.
So her border of this quilt is made with mask.
Wow. It looks so vintagey too, with the big butterfly in it, with great fabrics. Yeah.
It's the cloth mask that we started.
That was what
Yeah.
we started. When we couldn't get the real masks, we made them, and boy, everybody got there and made them for everybody they could think of. So that I did not realize. I loved it, but I didn't know.
I didn't realize it until I actually read the piece this morning. Yeah.
That's what's so hard, is that you want to read the stories. So if you can come at all in it today and tomorrow, it's really, really worth it. It's just such a fabulous stop and look. Don't be rushed. Be able to come and spend some time, and you will really, it's definitely worth it.
And the catalog, I'm going to just show you one page. Each page in the catalog shows the quilt and then the story, so that you can see the story that they each artist submitted.
It's just, everywhere you look, it's absolutely gorgeous. Let's see. This one is really wonderful, and it's working with Aboriginal Fabrics, which you know we love. But if you can, it took me a minute. I focused so hard on the fabric, going, okay, I know that one, I know that one, I know that one. It took me a little while to see the goddess. So I read a little bit, and here's her goddess, is in here. And I think that may have been with some paint sticks, because it has a little bit of metallic in it. But it's just so nice. You see the patchwork, you see the Aboriginal fabrics, and her and then you see her goddess. And again, she's got some nice buttons.
Leslie, the catalog will be available on the website after the session is over. And actually, Leslie's on. Let's walk around, and I want to show her piece, because her friend was here yesterday and told me about her piece.
Okay. Oh man, this is just...
So she was explaining that this is a type of stitching, I believe, from Tibet, if I'm not wrong. And I'm going to try and see, if you look at all of those beautiful little raised lines, they are couched onto there, and it truly gives a 3D effect.
Yes.
And Chris, yes, the catalog is in color. They just printed the pages for the purpose of walking through the exhibit.
Yeah. Yes, I love this one too. I love them all. It's hard to choose. But again, everybody took some very different ways of assembling there. So there's little hooks in here. These were created as patches, which again has some hand stitching, some machine stitching, and they're hooked together to create the larger piece. And look at this map, printed the map.
So this piece is, the background of the patches are all her son's denim, and then she used some Thai silks and other fabrics, and each little square has 3
Dots.
French knots. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
You want to go back because you wanted to do the one up in Greece?
Yes. Okay.
Oh.
And then we have Cindy's, another creative mind, again, Aboriginal Fabrics. Very striking.
So it's a Dresden plate, but just how different it looks.
Look at all these circles. To fill in all those spaces, I think it's so wonderful. And it just has so much movement. And again, lots of stitching.
Sarah, I have no idea where yours might be, so I'm not sure we're going to capture it.
Where
Judy's picked out a couple of her favorites. I'm gonna have a bump. I'm going up some stairs, so.
Not that they aren't all my favorites, but okay. So I don't know
think
where
it's-
the other one's back here.
I think it might be.
There's several that just stop you in their tracks, but this one stopped me. This one, again, I guess I'm very keyed into portraits. I knew immediately what the message was, and I just returned from Bernina University, which was held in California, so I was in the airport. And in the back of the airport, in the restrooms, they have signs. Are you being held against your will? Do you need to be brought to safety? Do you need to, it just, you knew exactly what they were saying. So this one's totally stopped me in my tracks. Then a lot of, there's a piece here, again, I love the use of vintage textiles. This is absolutely wonderful piece. During COVID, my husband and I lost our best man from our wedding, and someone that we've known for many, many years, and he did take his own life, so this is a little bit about that. This piece here is also, and there are words in there, there's vintage pieces in there, but again, you need to read the story with the catalog. It's just, and then this one here, I mean, it's so wonderful because I have some of these ideas in my head and you can't always get them all done. And one of them is using baby clothes and existing vintage quilts and things. So I'm very, very excited to see how people have incorporated this into their artwork.
The words on this quilt
Yes.
are the testimony of a woman who lost her toddler because she wasn't able to get medical care in one of the border camps.
Yeah, it's very. Is this stairs? Do we sneak back here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You can really get the feel of the fact that this is a maze, a labyrinth.
Yes. Oh, see, I missed that one yesterday.
That's all thread painting. It's an homage to the pachyderm.
Okay, here it steps. This one, I really love. I do love the message on that one, and I think that was done with discharge. Just. So much color to express our thoughts. We're going this way.
Oh,
This piece I love.
and down at Linda's.
Yeah.
This one's so simple but so beautiful.
Oh, so beautiful. Another creative mind. And then Linda, another creative mind. And Linda's just fabulous with her coming off. She's taken doilies and worked them together and created. Look at her little spiders. They're just in her bees, and they're off. They're three-dimensional. They're really, I mean, oh my gosh, this trim is beautiful. She is definitely known for that.
So we don't normally touch the quilts, but I think you need to look at her label.
Her label. Which way is it?
Oh,
Lace makers. Oh, look at that.
so typical Linda.
I know. I mean, her beads and her buttons. Okay, we've been this way. Now we're this way. I think.
Okay. Did you see this one, Judy? She painted on church ledgers.
Oh, I didn't see the ledgers. I saw the butterflies.
Yep. And
So
then she painted it in gouache.
it looks like it was organza.
On silk. They printed it on silk. Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, no. I love the butterflies, but I missed that it was ledgers. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Another mixed media.
Yes, it's so amazing. Deborah's ladders. We talked to her a little bit about it, her piece yesterday.
And the ladders are her personal symbol that are in lots of her quilts. She was our guest artist last year. Mm-hmm.
Or the last time we had it.
Well, 3 years ago, yes. Oh, she's got some good.
Stitching.
She's hand stitching now on hers too. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This piece here, Cindy and I were looking at it and we stopped, and it was just such an amazing picture and calmness. And I looked at it and I went, I could never do that. It's just, that's the story. It's wonderful. I love it with the hand dyes and things, and I just admire that one.
It's so simple
simplicity,
and
yes.
so elegant.
Yep. And then this is Suzanne's, another creative mind. I'm sorry, I'm gonna miss creative minds here, guys, but oh, I didn't see this one yesterday. Look at this print. Circus Soleil.
Circus Soleil,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay, another creative mind. Look at that.
This one too.
Oh yes, she's beautiful. And look at the fringe. Absolutely. Yes. Wonderful. This, of course, it's blue. Blue and white. I love it. And again, look at what she did behind it. She took pieces and cut the layers so that you can see what's behind there. Some stitching, some hand stitching, really some woven fabrics. So it's not just cotton. There's some absolute wonderful texture there. This piece is amazing, and this has the story. You're going to want to know the story.
Yeah, you have to
Look
read.
at the pieces here. Absolutely gorgeous. Spoke to the artist about it. Very moving story. Look at this dimension and this texture. And there's this, it's just, there's words. Everybody used words and stitching. Non-traditional materials. And then Christine's, who is another creative mind.
Karen, we will be posting this video on our Artistic Artifacts Facebook page, and then later in the week, once the show is over, we'll get it up on our YouTube channel. But you can see this on our Facebook page.
And share it with whoever you
Yeah,
like
Phil,
to.
she wanted to share it with some friends.
Yes,
So
please do. Please do. This one, I always am looking up in the middle of trees. Always. I don't know. I just love the way they intersect and things. And at first I looked at it and I went, oh, the bird's upside down. Then I went, oh no, they're looking up. I love it. And then look at what she did with the cherry blossoms. It's absolutely, there's dimension to it. They're coming off the quilt. It's just so fantastic. This one is so much like a crazy quilt. It just to me says crazy quilt. It may not have been the message that they said, but again, buttons, hand stitching, there's cottons in there. It is a tree of life to all. So, the black and white to me represents the tree. Again, I have not read the messages. So it's a little bit
Patricia,
different.
the exhibit is Sacred Threads, and it's currently today and tomorrow at the Florist United Methodist Church in Herndon, Virginia.
And then Linda. Just, again, I just love the vintage pieces. You go through and you enhance them and use them.
So I think we've got the
The doors
visitor,
are open.
yeah.
Yep. This one just, you want to know, I was lucky enough to have a trip to Alaska, and this makes me think of Alaska. But again, the dimension that's created with the stitching and trapunto is just amazing. And what a wonderful picture. Absolutely great. And then we have another creative mind, Linda Cooper, who has her School of Fish. And here's another one. I'm going to show you the label too. I'm not supposed to, but I will. So Cindy was telling me about this. So on here is a map of what the fish are, what their names, what the type of fish it is, and it's she's made a map of her quilt. So I know that these were all hand painted, and wouldn't it be nice if we all got along like those fish on that quilt?
I think it was an online course she took during COVID.
During COVID. Another creative mind. This one I think is beautiful too. Foxglove, I love that. I mean, it's just pan. She's just the dimension. I just love what everybody did. It's just so amazing. Another portrait and house, laces and trims and special flowers and some gimp in there. Wonderful, wonderful. So as you can see, they've opened the doors, so everybody's coming in to visit and enjoy the show. Hi.
Hey, Judy, I'm glad I found you.
She's on live.
I'm on
She's
live.
actually on live right now.
I'll get you. Thank you. What have we not seen?
Someone asked for a particular quilt.
Okay. Do we know where it is?
I think I'm, no, I'm lost.
Okay.
I'll get a picture and post it on Sacred Threads.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to let you go now, but if you're in the area, you can have the time, you can drive up. This is just a quilt show to surpass all quilt shows. And we hope that you enjoyed your little insight here this morning. And we appreciate and thank you for being part of the Artistic Artifacts community. For those of you who might be come from the hosting of Sacred Threads and don't know, artisticartifacts.com is online 24/7. We have Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. You can join our Creative Minds group, and we encourage you to do that. So we look forward to seeing you online or in person. Thank you very much.